Great photos almost never just happen, and therefore to increase the chances of getting great photographs, I've developed a process which I call Purposeful Photography. And in this video I'm going to share that process with you, and it may be helpful to other photographers and especially those who are just starting out. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Keith Mason. I'm a landscape and rock and theatre photographer. Now the strapline for my photography business is goes nice places, meets nice people, takes nice photographs. Now this suggests that if I am travelling or on holiday or in a nice place, I just so happen to see something or someone that is attractive or appealing, then I take a picture of it. Simple. But this would probably suggest that my photography is nothing more about going to nice places and taking the odd snap, and I don't think it's that. Certainly when you come through a tunnel in Yosemite to arrive at the tunnel view, or if you're at the edge of the Grand Canyon, or if, as I was a couple of weeks ago, in Venice, in strolling into St. Mark's Square, photography can feel a bit like that. You just sort of get lucky because these places are really hard to take bad photographs in. But they're also probably hard to get good photographs in, and ones that are different and unique and says something about you. So you may get lucky, but I don't like to run the risk of chance. I'd like to try and improve my odds, and therefore I'm trying to develop a process which, as I say, I'm calling this purposeful photography. The evidence is that this has improved my photography over the last couple of years. So what is purposeful photography? Well, as the name suggests, it means having purpose in what you're trying to do. It's the concept of taking a photo with a purpose, with a story, with a feeling, or with an evocation of a mood. It's about thinking in advance about what you're trying to take and what the story or the message is that you're trying to tell. It's also about deciding in advance what camera gear you need and the settings that you need to be able to get that story and that message and that feeling that you're after. So the first thing is setting off with a purpose. So you need to be thinking about what photographs you are likely to be making. And here's the reverse. At the outset, I talked about getting lucky and going to nice places and just stumbling across something that you want to photograph. Here we're talking about, with purpose, you're going out to take a particular type of photograph. It may mean that you're leaving other photo opportunities to one side and keeping a focus on what you're trying to achieve. So you need to think about what you're shooting that particular day. What lenses might you need? Are you going to be using a flash? Have you got spare batteries? If you're likely to be shooting water, have you got your filters so that you can adjust the shutters accordingly? Do you have the appropriate adapter ring for your filter system? There's more than once that I've turned up at a particular location and forgotten my filters or forgotten my adapter ring. And one time I even forgot a tripod, even though I had the filters and the adapter ring. So, are you shooting landscapes? Are you going to need your wide lens? Are you going to need a telephoto? If you're going to be shooting water, do you have your polarizer with you? What about your ND filters? If you're going to be taking wildlife or sports, you're thinking about what speed you're going to be needing to freeze the motion, and consequently what impact does that have on the gear that you're looking for. What about setting your ISO? Are you prepared to accept higher ISO to get higher shutter speeds? For me, I do a lot of theatre work, and now I've worked up a process which I'm fairly happy about. I'm shooting either 3200 or 6400 with primes wherever possible, and I know that I really want to shoot at 1/250th of a second, and probably that means as wide as possible. I'm prepared to go down to 1/125th of a second. So being able to think about what you're going to be shooting and thinking about what gear you need and what settings you need in advance is going to save you time in the location and get you shooting quickly. The second thing is, when you get on location, is to think about the camera and the settings and the lenses that you're going to use before you ever open your camera bag. I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine called Tyson, who I met when he came to photograph me for a book that he was commissioned to shoot. And I got chatting with him, and he invited me out on one of his other shoots. And I went along, and I was incredibly impressed that when he first got to the location, he did a sort of mental head scratch and then ran through his camera and his settings with purpose from the get-go, so that he knew that he had the right ISO setting for the particular environment in which he was shooting, picked up the right lens for the job that he was about to shoot, and had everything in mind before he fired off any frames. And that's, A, it impressed me, and B, it helped me to think about what I need to do, rather than just getting to something that looks fantastic, dropping my bag on the floor, picking up my camera and start shooting off frames. Because if you do that, you may get back home and then find out that, as I have done in the past, that the ISO is still set for a theatre shoot, and now all of my landscape photographs are nigh on unusable because they're all shot at 32 or 6400. The next thing is thinking about composition. It's really easy when you're in a place that is so fantastic to just get your camera out and start shooting. I know I've done it, and I know that other people do that. And here, what I would say is it's far more likely that you will have one really satisfying picture if you take your time to think about the composition, think about where the light is falling now and where it may fall in the next hour or two. Think about how the light is playing on the different subjects in your photograph. Think about trying to be as simple as possible. Generally, pictures are more successful the less that you put in the frame. And organising the various subjects in a pleasing and balanced manner in your composition will pay dividends. So just because other people have got their cameras out and shooting off pictures at a tourist location, don't just follow them. Think about these composition aspects before you get your tripod set up. And it's really a great idea to really get your composition down before you ever get your tripod out, because once you have, you tend to be fairly static with it. In terms of photographing people, particularly people in groups, maybe weddings, maybe parties, it's about thinking about can you control the environment, can you control the lighting, can you control the people, and very often you can control none of these things. So you have to make up and adjust your purpose during the shoot. But wherever possible, get to a location in advance, think about where the best places might be to take photographs, and see and think about how you may be able to get the people to that location where you have more control over a particular environment. Being able to take control and take charge of a shoot often reaps rewards. Now, people often don't like having their picture taken, or they're a little bit funny, or if you're a group of 5 or 6, there'll be one person who doesn't really want to play ball. So being able to take control, show confidence in what you're trying to achieve, and get people to participate with the process of getting that great picture really pays dividends. You're working with them to get a good picture, and they feel invested in it to get a good picture as well, because people like nice pictures of themselves. So being able to have confidence to take a little control is a good thing. Getting to a location early is really important because you can see the environment and you can manipulate it where possible. I I recently did a theatre shoot, and you can see that in this picture there are speakers on the stage which I wasn't able to move, but during the break I was able to talk to the sound engineer and get the speakers moved so that I could get other pictures where there weren't speakers in the picture, and that is a rewarding outcome. So taking control of the environment is useful. And the last thing really is probably the first thing, which is to do your planning in advance, to do your packing in advance. Get your camera bag set up the night before that you need it, so that in the morning, particularly if you're going for an early morning sunrise shoot, you just have to pick up your bag and get going. You don't have to think about anything. But always remember that maybe you've left your batteries plugged in to charge and they're still plugged in. So always check that before you leave. Anyway, I'd like to say that this is really work in progress. So this is my idea about how I can improve my own photography, and if you've got ideas of things that may be incorporated into this process, my process, and what I'm calling this purposeful photography, I'd be really grateful. Please leave a message in the discussion below. This is the last sort of at-home studio video that I'm making for a little while. Next week I am going off to my beloved Cornwall to go hiking, and I think if I'm lucky, if everything goes to plan, if everything goes to purpose, there will be coming out a number of hiking videos in which I'm going to be taking photographs along the southwest coast path. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, if you could give it a thumbs up, it really makes a big difference to this channel. Maybe think about subscribing, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.